episode 500 of The Big Picture. Yay! I did not plan for this to be episode 500, did not plan for episode 500 to be completely freestyle. I know not everyone likes the more or less freestyle episodes, but this came up basically this morning from a post on Instagram by the Russo brothers, and I kind of like getting to do an I told you so prediction episode, old school, you know, like we did for old school stuff that there hasn't been one in a while, and it's something that I've wanted to do an episode about for quite a bit for that. So you know what? Fucking deal with a freestyle episode. I kind of like doing the freestyle ones, to be honest. You know, they're not completely freestyle. I have a page of notes that you can probably see reflected in the glasses a little bit. Not like a full script, but like a, hey Bob, try to stay a little bit on topic here. And if you think I'm rambling a little bit, you should see the stuff that's getting cut out in the jumps and the audio jumps here. There was another episode that was part freestyle and part scripted that was going to be 500 that was a little more esoteric and looking back and talking about the future. But yeah, episode 500, how about that? We got to 500, and we got to 500 without saying, hey, 500, and I'm cutting off the show. Which I don't want to do and also can't fucking afford to do. But that's for another time. Anyway, the Russo brothers posted a picture, pretentious black and white photograph of set dressing of their green screen studio, basically, of some props that more or less subliminally spelled out AVX.
What is, here, Lois, take a look.
What people are taking to spell out AVX on their Instagram as the setup for the Avengers DOOMSDAY, formerly Avengers the Kang Dynasty, before they had to get rid of the actor playing Kang, mostly because the actor playing Kang did a bad, but also because, as it turned out, audiences felt largely the same way about Kang the Conqueror as many fans in comics have often felt about Kang the Conqueror, which is that he's a boring villain who sucks ass, and so they've traded up for Dr. Doom. So now that movie is called Doomsday. But yeah, this visual seems to spell out a subliminal AVX, or at least definitely a subliminal A and a series of X's in the scaffolding there. So it seems like the worst kept secret in the world, given that the big reveal of the cast list was a bunch of Marvel actors and a bunch of Fox X-Men actors are the cast of this movie, which is that Avengers Doomsday is essentially Avengers versus X-Men. Cool. Yeah, this always felt like, I know a lot of people connected the dots on that and said, oh, so in this movie, the Avengers fight the X-Men, basically, is what's going to go down here. And to me, that always felt like kind of like not an underwhelming reveal, because yes, of course I want to see the Avengers fight the X-Men. Who doesn't want to see the fucking Avengers fight the fucking X-Men? That's a cool concept. But it also sort of felt like what I always thought this movie was going to be in some way. Like, everyone sort of knows that Secret Wars is going to be everyone that Marvel can possibly get their hands on fighting or interacting with or shaking hands with or in some way intermingling with or just sharing and occupying screen space with everyone else that Marvel can get their hands on, and having a big old blowout and just, you know, the portal scene to end all portal scenes before we do a movie reset reboot thing that mashes everything together into whatever the next wave of Marvel stuff is.
I am so tired.
Like, that always seemed to be the concept for this, was Avengers versus X-Men, because Disney spent a shit fuck ton of money to buy the Fox properties, and everyone knew that they weren't doing it just to get the Fantastic Four, because those movies have never actually been all that successful. This has always been like the buried secret issue of the Fantastic Four, is that everyone knows it's an important Marvel property, but it's not really that profitable of a Marvel property. It's famous because it was the first one and they're cool characters and everyone likes them, but the public has never really actually cared that much. Like, everybody knows Galactus, everybody knows the Thing. The Thing seems to sell pretty well. People like the concept of the Human Torch, but like at this point, the Incredibles are probably a bigger property than the Fantastic Four are.
What?
Like, they're fun, they're interesting. This new movie was a solid success. Like, a B-plus level hit is about as successful as the Fantastic Four have ever been outside of when the Hanna-Barbera cartoons were in syndication. That was probably the biggest the Fantastic Four ever were outside of being a large niche comic book property. I'll take that back. People who play Marvel Rivals really seem to love Sue in the Malice costume. That's probably, that now is probably the most popular that anything from Fantastic Four has ever been. If you track like downloads of that, that's a whole separate thing. Softcore pornography will always remain undefeated as popular marketing for comics anything. I'm not judging, I'm just stating a fact.
Booty, booty, booty! Yeah, boy!
But anyway, yeah, Avengers Doomsday, worst kept secret in the world. The actual plot of this movie appears to be Avengers versus X-Men. Cool! I'm excited. Of course I'm excited. It's Avengers versus X-Men. How can I not be excited about that? Now the only thing left to pretend to be surprised about is when the X-Men show up and they're wearing the X-Men 97 costume but with MCU lines drawn on them. Because that's definitely what they're gonna look like. You know it, I know it, that's what they're gonna, and it's probably gonna look pretty cool. Like they're gonna dye James Marsden's hair back to brown and put him in the blue Cyclops scuba suit, and it's gonna look cool enough. You know that's what they're gonna do. Just, you know it. You know. Iceman's gonna show up and he's gonna look like Iceman. We've already seen what their version of Beast looks like, and he looks great. He was in the Marvels. Like, there are things that you know. That's the second easiest call to make about Doomsday and Secret Wars outside of Tom Holland will get his black suit at some point in these because he gets the black suit in Secret Wars in the comics, and that's what they've been waiting to do here. He's either going to get it here or he's going to get it in Brand New Day and wear it in Secret Wars because they want to be able to put a live-action recreation of the red Spider-Man cover with the Secret Wars black suit on Instagram because Marvel loves their Leonardo pointing, they did the thing meme format for stuff. They love that shit. They just made Deadpool and Wolverine, and that movie was 90% look, they did the thing, the movie.
Yeah, there it is.
Now, I didn't plan for this to be the 500th episode, but I have been wanting to do this movie is going to be X-Men versus Avengers versus X-Men, whatever, and was always going to be Avengers versus X-Men, even back when it was Kang Dynasty, for a couple years now. And the only reason I didn't was because I have literally written several scripts that went unproduced for both this show and a few other entities that I do business with that ultimately have gone unproduced because the timing wasn't right, or they delayed movies, or we delayed projects, etc., which is fine by me. I still got paid.
Money, money.
But I have been guessing this not just because of Disney buying Fox, because people who think that Disney bought Fox to get the rights to X-Men, if they wanted the rights to that, they could just get the rights to that. Disney has more money than God. But Disney buying Fox stuff, like a lot of stuff, brief digression, that goes on in the entertainment industry, people don't realize this is a lot of stuff like the Saudis buying EA and tons of other stuff that go on in the entertainment industry is much more about acquiring the rights to sports media distribution than it is to do with nerd IP stuff, but that's an episode for another time. Either way, it just made sense to me based on what was happening across Phase 4, 5, and 6 when you really look at it, when people were bitching and moaning about other stuff. And I know that Phase 4, 5 were extremely messy. Not everyone liked all of the content, whatever. Not here to talk about that. I have plans to eventually do a recap 4, 5, and 6, what was really going on there, if people want to see that. But if you really break it down, there were basically 3 running background noise plots across all of the media that came out of the MCU in Phases 4, 5, and 6, not counting the Kang stuff, which obviously had to get sidelined because they lost a whole actor. You know, there were things that they could control and things that they could not control. Losing the guy who was clearly supposed to be the main hero actor, Chadwick Boseman, because he fucking died, was a major problem. Tragic. The big overriding problem of COVID blowing up the world and blowing up their schedule and scattering things and completely devastating what looked like plans for the Young Avengers, because a lot of the actors that they seem to have hired to be the Young Avengers are now the approaching middle-age Avengers, because you had like a 5 to 7 year schedule bump for some of these projects.
Welcome! My name is Harry Potter.
They are definitely too old to still be doing this shit.
We shall
Like Elizabeth Olsen is now saying in media that she doesn't even remember what her role was in Marvel Zombies because she recorded her role like 5 or 6 years ago. That's a problem. And it's not a problem that is even like a quality problem. That is the world ended for a little while problem. I know that, there's people that are pretending, oh, COVID wasn't that bad. I only got 6 once. We went through basically an apocalypse. We're living in a post-apocalyptic world. It doesn't just feel that way because we're being run by literal supervillains in the White House and shit. We are living on the other end of an end-of-world scenario, and people don't want to recognize that. There were trucks full of dead people in the street. That was nuts. That's an, oh, by the way, we went through a plague thing. Anyway. Oh, and also Marvel had to fire the guy that they set up to be their main villain guy, their new Thanos, which they never should have announced as their main new villain guy. They probably should have waited to see if people liked him in the first place. But anyway, apart from the Kang shit and the Young Avengers who are no longer young shit, there were 3 major running background noise plots in Phase 4, 5, and 6. The multiverse incursion stuff, where you have the multiverse and also this whole incursion thing that comes up in Doctor Strange 2 the first time, I think.
You caused an incursion, and we're gonna fix it.
You might have also mentioned it in Loki, the other big multiverse show, where 2 universes or more can crash into one another, and then the universes kind of have to fight each other, or other bad stuff can happen. So that's a thing. There's this whole business that nobody knows who replaces the Avengers or if the Avengers even exist, so it's uncertain who's basically in charge of doing hero shit. That's a thing. So if that happens, who's taking care of it, basically? And also, mutants are a thing, which feels like much more of a background thing, but it actually comes up a lot more than people think. Like, remember, WandaVision, basically the beginning of Phase 4, 5, 6 of this whole multiverse saga, actually starts off in WandaVision, which is a riff on House of M, centered around a character who is technically an X-Men character. She's Magneto's daughter in the comics, and they bring it up on the down low because Quicksilver from the X-Men movie shows up. It's a gag, but he shows up, and we're supposed to get the reference. Then it comes up in Doctor Strange 2, a multiverse movie, but Professor X is there. She-Hulk literally goes to through the fourth wall into basically a version of our universe through the multiverse and asks,
oh, and when are we getting the X-Men?
I cannot tell you that.
Namor is the bad guy in Black Panther 2. He's a mutant. Miss Marvel was a multiverse show. She's fighting guys from another universe, and she turns out to be a mutant, and we hear the MCU version of the X-Men cartoon song for the first time when she finds that out.
Kamala, there's something different in your genes, like a mutation.
There is an X-Men cameo in the Marvels the next time she shows up. Beast is in the movie. The X-Men 97 cartoon has a Watcher cameo, and then Storm is in What If. Rama Tut, one of the Kang variants' logo, is in Moon Knight, and he's connected to En-Sabah-Nur. En-Sabah-Nur is Apocalypse. Deadpool and Wolverine, enough said, and Eternals eventually turns out to have introduced adamantium into the MCU.
Son of a bitch.
So, if you put all this together, what that feels like to me is that the plot of Kang Dynasty was at one point supposed to be, there's an incursion, and Kang makes the Avengers fight a team from another universe that would have been the X-Men. And the reason that that feels like that to me is that making the Avengers fight another superhero team from another universe is basically the only plan Kang generally has. In the comics, that's what Kang does. Kang can really only do one thing, which is he's a time travel guy, so if you kill him, you just immediately have to fight another version of him. So the only thing he can do other than that is to make the Avengers fight a team from another universe. That's where Squadron Supreme comes from. That's where a bunch of the other guys come from. That's where the other universe teams come from. So my guess is that the plot of Kang Dynasty, when it was still Kang Dynasty, was that the Avengers were going to fight the X-Men, and that wasn't going to work out because, you know, what even is the Avengers right now? Is it the Thunderbolts? Is it the other guys? Is it maybe the young guys when they were going to be young guys? Eventually, they would have come together. They said, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to fight this other guy, Kang? And then it wouldn't have worked out anyway, and something would have gone wrong. Sad ending, just like the Thanos snap. You should have gone for the head, whatever. And that would have been the sad ending cliffhanger that goes into Secret Wars. That would have been Kang Dynasty. And we're probably still getting, I think, most of that. So there's an incursion, a bad guy makes the Avengers fight the X-Men, they team up against him, it still doesn't go well, and then they go into Secret Wars. But instead of Kang, or maybe still a little bit Kang, but then definitely mostly not Kang, it's Doctor Doom, and then it still doesn't go well, and then they go into Secret Wars.
Ah, stop eating our boat, Jaws.
Rawr, I'm gonna eat your boat, and then I'm gonna eat you guys. Rawr! Oh my God, what's that?
It's bigger, Jaws.
Oh my God, now we have a common enemy. We have to work together.
I already got a sequel in mind. It's called Way Bigger Jaws.
See, I think Doctor Doom was always going to be a part of this. Maybe he was going to be the surprise ending reveal, like, oh, you thought this was about Kang, but it's actually about me, Doctor Doom, the much more interesting bad guy. And I even think that it was probably always Robert Downey Jr., like they were probably always talking to him or trying to get him, because that would have been a big, cool surprise ending reveal, or what they think would be a cool, big ending surprise reveal. Because they never would have set up Doctor Doom, and to most audiences who don't read comics, who probably are vaguely aware that there's a guy called Doctor Doom, at least in the sense that Doctor Doom just sounds like a name people would know. Like, who the hell is this guy? But evil Robert Downey Jr., evil Iron Man, that's a hell of a reveal.
You just blew my mind! Our minds have been blown!
And also, and this is, you know, just thinking like comic book lore, what would they think to make the movie out of? Here's the thing about Secret Wars as a concept, because again, most audiences have not really heard of Secret Wars, and even people who read and follow comic book backstory stuff in much the same way like Marvel Civil War, there have been multiple storylines called Marvel Civil Wars. People understand the concept of it more so than they remember the actual storyline. Like, people remember Marvel Secret Wars. It's when there's inter-universe stuff and all the heroes fight each other. And Civil War, they remember two different teams of heroes stop agreeing and they fight about it. They don't necessarily remember the plot concept of it that well. So, there are two different Marvel Secret Wars storylines. Technically, there's three, but the middle one doesn't really count because it was mostly about a war being fought in secret, and just used the title Secret War as like a reference to the first one. So the two like actual Secret Wars, there was one in the 80s and one in 2015 to 2016. And the 80s version was an alien called the Beyonder makes all of the good guys fight all of the bad guys to see whether good is truly better than evil, because he's an alien and doesn't understand the concept of good and evil and wants to test. It's a Star Trek type thing. I will make the good fight the Klingon and see who is truly that kind of thing. It's that kind of story, and it's pretty cool. They made it to sell a line of action figures. The comic is actually cooler than the figures. So like, both of them are sort of cool Doctor Doom stories in the abstract. But the reason that people remember the 80s one as being a cool Doctor Doom thing is that Doom's cool moment in the 80s one is that Kang thinks he's the leader of the bad guys for like half of it. And then at a certain point, he tries to order Doctor Doom around, and Doctor Doom is like, no, fuck you. I'm Doctor Doom. I'm going to zap you and take over running the bad guys. Even though at that point in time, Kang was like the powerful cosmic guy, and Doctor Doom was still just a guy who had cool armor and knew a bunch of science stuff. Because he's Dr. fucking Doom, and he's the cooler guy, and has the cooler name, and everyone likes him better. And comic book rules run on pro wrestling rules. The cooler guy with more audience heat gets to win. And that's awesome.
He's so cool.
And then the 2015 to 2016 version of Secret Wars is a Doctor Doom story full on. Doctor Doom basically stops the multiverse from collapsing by mushing it all together into a post-collapse singular battle world and rules over it for a while. That's the other Secret Wars. I think that what they were doing, what they were planning to do, was a version of mixing both of those together, where whatever the setup of Kang Dynasty, now Doomsday, was going to end in such a way where Doctor Doom would show up at the end of it and knock the fuck out of Kang, and then take over, and that would be Secret Wars, would be Doom ruling over a post-collapsed, post-incursion thing, and then the heroes would have to team up against Dr. Doom. And the problem with that as a big ending, in an MCU context, is there is no Dr. Doom yet. So it's like, oh great, well now there's this new guy, who the fuck is this? It's not like Infinity War, where Thanos wins and that's a big deal because we've had like a whole movie to get used to this guy, and he's shown up a little bit throughout the other movies, so it's like, oh shit, the bad guy won. That's a big deal. Because here it would be, okay, this new bad guy beat another bad guy, but who is this guy? Why the fuck should we care? Most audiences have never encountered Dr. Doom, and now we know he wasn't going to be the villain of the Fantastic Four movie, so it's like, who the hell is this? And one way around that would be if this guy, Dr. Doom, who shows up, is the evil version of some other good guy we've already met. That, I don't love MCU Dr. Doom is an evil Tony Stark, like as someone who likes the Dr. Doom from the comic, but in the context of just for most audiences who only know the MCU, which is most people worldwide do not give a fuck about comic book continuity or lore or history.
No, you're lying. You're lying. What makes you lie?
Put yourself in the shoes of people who mostly just know the movies. If the ending of this was the X-Men and the Avengers or whoever the fuck have been fighting and not really coming together, and then they finally come together and it's still not enough and they're getting bodied by Kang, and in a certain way this rhymes with people's general feeling that these new characters have just not measured up to the classic Avengers that you liked and you miss, and maybe you're just someone who kind of liked the new guys, but you really would like the old Avengers to come back, and maybe you're expecting that to be the end of this movie, that the classic Avengers would come back riding in. And remember, that can happen because we've got the multiverse. Still alive versions or still young versions of Iron Man and Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, whoever could come riding in from a portal at any minute from anywhere else in the universe and fucking body this guy Kang and win and save the new heroes and prove that like your favorite guys are still the guys.
It's still real to me, damn it!
So you get to the end of that, and that happens. Like, he's about to murder Bucky or one of the Thunderbolts, or maybe they'll show how tough he really is by having him beat up the Sentry or something, just somebody. Maybe he'll kill Red Guardian, someone people really like among the new guys. I don't know. And then out of nowhere, he just gets stomped out, like, boom, Skybeam, and someone just knocks him out, and the dust clears away, and it's, oh wow, it's Tony Stark. Like, obviously not the dead guy, because we know he's gone, we've established this, but Tony Stark is back. Oh, golly, Mr. Stark is back. I'm sure glad to see you. But then it's not him. I'm not Tony Stark. I'm Dr. Doom. And who the fuck cares who Dr. Doom is? Comic fans know, and they're freaking out. They're going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Not only are you fucked because it's bad Iron Man, and maybe he's got bad Avengers with him. Maybe like Chris Hemsworth is there, but he's Hades, and Chris Evans is there, but he's Captain Hydra. I don't know, something like that. Like this, you could see this as a sad go home, see you in a year for Secret Wars ending to this movie. But bottom line, Robert Downey Jr.'s back, but now he's a bad guy. You thought that the nostalgia Avengers were here to save you, but they're not. They're not coming back. It's the bad Avengers. Like, what a way to fuck with people that would have been. What a way to fuck with everybody.
That's Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. He was alive the whole time. And evil.
With great power comes no responsibility.
Oh yeah, we know, you don't like the new guys. Okay, fine, here are the old guys. They're back to save you and make you feel better about getting older. But no, it's the bad Avengers. That would have fucked everyone up. That would have fucked people up worse than the snap, I think. Because the snap comes out of nowhere. This is making people feel like they were okay, like they were getting the movie version of that AI fall asleep and go back to the 80s slop. but like for real. And instead, no, fuck you, it's evil Iron Man. It's evil Iron Man. That would have fucked people up. And then you gotta wait a whole year to find out what this means and what they're gonna do about it. Is good Iron Man gonna come back still and fight this guy? Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this? That would have been nuts. And I feel like, because now like you've heard them say that Robert Downey Jr., we were kind of talking to him a little bit, I feel like that was probably part of the plan or the whole plan. That whatever Kang Dynasty or Avengers vs. X-Men was, that was how it was going to go. That they were going to go through this whole movie, the good guys were going to fight the good guys, they were going to try to team up against Kang, it wasn't going to work, and then Dr. Doom, aka Evil Iron Man, was going to show up, and they were going to think, oh good, we're saved. Oh no, we're not. Bring on Secret Wars, and then Secret Wars would have been the happier movie, where it's just the portal scene, the end-all portal scene, all of the bad guys get fought by all of the good guys, and then the Fantastic Four's magic baby.
Hey, did you hear about that magic baby that was born in Bethlehem?
For those of you who are wondering why the fuck so much of Fantastic Four turned out to be about a magic baby, other than the fact that both Marvel and Star Wars have basically looked at their fans and said, okay guys, we've heard your concerns and we are both throwing magic babies at the problem. Fantastic Four in the comics, Franklin Richards is basically a Professor X level superpowered mutant with crazy psychic powers who can turn the universe into whatever he wants. And every couple of decades, when Marvel runs into problems that they can't fix with their continuity, they have the Fantastic Four's magic baby and or magic toddler, depending what age they've written him as at that point. They kind of have him reset the universe into whatever shape they want it to be. I have a feeling that's what they're going to do here. At the end of Secret Wars, whatever the mess is, they're going to have Franklin bibbidi-bobbidi-boo the universe into, hey, it's a new MCU. Some people are alive, some people are dead, and the X-Men have always been here. Don't question it. And that will be the soft reboot of the MCU. Like, not for nothing, the Spider-Man thing that coming out is called Brand New Day. I don't think it's going to actually be the plot of the Spider-Man story everyone hates with that name. And also, obviously, Avengers Doomsday now can't actually play out or end exactly like that because they got rid of Kang. It's not a Kang movie anymore, it's a Doctor Doom movie. It's kind of right there in the title. So I want to be clear about this. When I say I don't actually think they changed the whole plan of this that much from whatever the plan always was just because they lost the one villain actor in Jonathan Majors, what I mean is the big idea, long arc built up over phase 4, 5, 6 payoff to this thing was always, looking at it like I laid it out, seems like at least multiverse shit goes down, which makes Marvel guys fight Fox guys, but then they both fight a bad guy, and then there's a big end of Act 3 reveal about a bigger bad guy, or bigger bad guy plan, or threat, or whatever, and that's what sends us off to Secret Wars. And the main thing that changed is that Robert Downey Jr. is back, but now he's Dr. Doom, was gonna be that surprise. But now, because they had to lose Kang, and because they had a bunch of movies underperform, so they needed to make a big public show of we're doing something big, so they announced him out front and made him the main bad guy, so he'll probably be doing, I imagine, whatever Kang was going to be doing, which was most likely a version of the Thanos in Infinity War villain going around enacting a plan while the heroes are one step behind him getting into their own mess stuff, because why mess with your success formula? And okay, you know, that doesn't sound like a bad movie, that sounds pretty interesting. But it does beg the question, if I'm right and Doom showing up was supposed to be the big dark Empire Strikes Back, bad guys win, to be continued shocker here,
The all is lost moment!
what will replace that? If they structured this, as I suspect, to be similar to Infinity War, and as I also suspect they felt like they needed another equivalent to You Should Have Gone for the Head and the Snap, what stands in for that? And if I'm guessing, just based on MCU plot logic, general Hollywood plot logic, and what's available, I would guess that it's probably Scarlet Witch.
Again!
A version of Wanda showing up. Classic, new, multiverse, something. Because the prophecy that's been following her around this whole time has been the Scarlet Witch will either destroy or rule the multiverse. So she can do that, and also thus could conceivably be Dr. Doom's ace in the hole for here's how I can tear down the multiverse and build a battle world, or whatever the foundational scenario for Secret Wars is going to be.
It's an ending, that's enough.
And in the comics, she's been connected to Doom a few times. They both have problematic Romani stereotypes from the 60s comics backgrounds that the movies will probably want to paper over just as a gesture, and
People of my generation are,
Racist.
that's it.
since this is also a chance to retcon her back into a mutant, and she's sometimes a significant frenemy of the main antagonist of the Fantastic Four. So, okay, yeah, that's right in the middle there. It's tenuous, but I think it fits, and if they were feeling particularly cheeky, there's room for them to rhyme the House of M thing and have her be the one to make everybody happy and close the book on this one specific plot mechanic and literally say, no more multiverse. I mean, talk about lines that would get an audience on your side in 2026. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. You can probably tell from my general disposition and tone of my voice that this makes me tired, but also mildly hopeful, because this all sounds kind of dumb to me, but it sounds kind of dumb in the way that also makes me mildly hopeful, because, yeah, this sounds stupid, but, like, big, multiversal battle event comic book stuff is always stupid. Infinity War and Endgame are both profoundly stupid. The portal scene and everything about it, from the logic that makes it happen to the way that it plays out, is one of the dumbest things that has ever played out in a major motion picture, but it's so fucking awesome. Everything good, all of the best big action beats that are not small, intimate character scenes in Marvel movies are dumb as hell, but fucking beautiful. The superhero genre at its best, at its core, is a monumentally dumb, beautiful thing. And the movies that make that work are the good ones, and the ones that either run away from that or can't get their heads around it are the ones that fail. My question is, why wasn't this guessed more widely? Like, why is it a surprise at all to anyone that Avengers vs. X-Men would have been the plot of this movie? And why wasn't there more wide prediction of it?
Why?
And to be honest, I think that the issue for that is that the prediction video thing, and maybe I'm just not seeing it in my feed thanks to YouTube's garbage algorithm. I honestly think it feels like the prediction genre sort of dried up a little bit and was replaced by the complain about everything genre in the algorithm for these movies. For the Marvel movies, for the Star Wars movies, for nerd genre stuff in particular. It feels like at a certain point, YouTube, and I've done episodes about this before, about, basically YouTube hates movies. YouTube would rather compete with the product. YouTube would rather promote videos and content that hates and dissuades people from watching what is essentially competitor product for YouTube than promote predictions and analysis and criticism, even negative criticism, even honest, thoughtful negative criticism, because YouTube is basically in competition now with television, film, music, media, etc. And that's driven, the rise of, the rage bait content. Basically, all of the guys who would rather talk about what's woke, the anti-woke content, the grift content, and that's why you have the impression YouTube and online content has basically been co-opted by an alt-right MAGA contingent. And I don't necessarily believe that's the case. I do not believe that when people say, oh, Gen Z has turned to the right, that YouTube is fundamentally a right-wing platform. My experience is not that. My experience is that YouTube promotes the dumbest and angriest and most don't watch anything but rage content on YouTube, and that genre, of course, favors the right wing, because right wing content is inherently angry and inherently stupid.
Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
YouTube, in general, does not want to promote intelligent criticism, intelligent discussion, and if it did, that is where you would find neutral to left to liberal, whatever, creators. Like myself, like many other people that, work more in my tone. I have said for a while, and pretty much all along, that the algorithm does not so much favor right-wing content, fascist content, Republican content, whatever. It favors stupid content, shallow content, empty content, It just so happens that stupid, shallow, empty, ignorant, rage-fueled material generally favors one particular tenor of politics much more than the other. And you can call that biased, but as a very great man once said,
reality has a well-known liberal bias.
Regardless, while it may be not quite so beneficial for my traffic, I still like doing predictions and theories and looking at upcoming stuff like this, even though, you know, to me, this is a version of somewhat shallow and not particularly meaningful content, which is why it's fun. None of this is real. This is not necessarily topical, up-to-the-minute, newsworthy content. You know, the Avengers and X-Men aren't real guys. This is not something that relates directly to the real world. This is the ultimate escapism. This is stuff that I hope, you know, thinking about, hey, what's going to happen in the next Avengers movie? Are they going to fight the X-Men? Can Wolverine beat up the Hulk? Can Captain America fight Storm? What is this? I hope that that's something that helps people take their minds off of the United States possibly devolving into a fascist police state. I would hope that that's part of what content like this provides.
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide.
Anyway, 500 episodes. Here's to however many more I can do before either YouTube becomes untenable or I get paid to do something that frankly pays me better than this does, because this does not pay well. Please give generously to the Movie Bob Patreon and watch the ads and click the sponsors. I'm Bob and that's The Big Picture.